All right. Welcome to the call. This is the Midday Motivation Call. Today is July 24th of 2019, so we're closing up almost the end of the month here, and so I'm super stoked. I'm super excited. I'm super pumped up because this has been an amazing year so far. And if you're on the line right now, chances are you're probably a business owner. You're probably an entrepreneur. You're someone that's maybe looking for an extra dose of motivation. You're someone that's just looking for maybe just the secret. You're looking for that extra step to take you to the next level in life. So what I want to do over the course of maybe the next this call is probably going to go probably another 20, 25, 30 minutes or so. And what I want to share with you today is actually a couple different things. Like we're going to go over a little bit of messaging to the market. We're going to go over showing up to calls. We're going to go over what it really means to plug into a community and be a part of an association, kind of like how you're hearing the sound of my voice from somewhere in the world here in Sacramento, California, and it's going through the lines, it's going through the airwaves, and it's coming out through your side, whether you have earphones plugged in, maybe you're sitting in a cubicle, maybe you're driving in a car, wherever you are, you're hearing the sound of my voice. And the reason why that's important is because even though we're not in the same room right now, the subconscious mind can't really tell the difference. So it almost seems like maybe I could be sitting next to you in a chair and we could actually be having a conversation. And it's a very easy hack for you to be able to, if you ever heard that thing where you have like the 5 friends that you hang around and you're probably an average of who they are, whether it's the way that you speak, or maybe it's the type of clothes that you wear, or maybe the type of car that you drive, the house that you live in, or the belief system that you have, you can actually change that by plugging into audios or watching videos or getting around influential people or people who are really good at maybe a certain area of life that you actually want to grow and develop in. So on the call today, there's actually a couple points that want to knock out, and so here's how I'm going to lay it out for you. It's going to be kind of like a buffet, and I know Shannon, he's on the call too, and so he has a saying where you can show up to the buffet and you could take the meat and leave the bones. You could kind of pick and choose what applies to you and what works for you, and it's also kind of like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. And I'm not going to call you a horse. You're a real person. You're most likely a business or an entrepreneur. And the truth of the matter is the reason why you're on the call is because it's game time. If you're on the call and you're listening to the recording and you're not on live at the moment, what I'm going to encourage you to do is I encourage you to actually start showing up for live calls. Whether it's the Midday Motivational Call, or maybe you have a business presentation that you do for maybe a network marketing company. What I encourage you to do is actually show up live for those calls, because what you can do today, you should do now. Otherwise, what happens is you might procrastinate and you're putting off what can be done today, and you're putting off what can be done today, and you're actually putting it like tomorrow or the next day. And what happens is it never gets done. Things pile up. You wonder what happened. The energy that's kind of going on, it's very like confused energy, and you never become clear on your goals. You never become clear on your intentions. And so the fastest way to become clear, the fastest way to get results is to take action, show up on calls like this. So topic today is going to be target market. So target market, and to kind of introduce the topic, give you a little bit about my background. I'm someone that back in 2010, I was introduced to a business opportunity by my soccer coach. One night I was given a phone call. He told me to be over at his house in about 15 minutes. I hadn't talked to this guy in over a year because he was my soccer coach. And so he gave me a call, told me to be over his house in 15 minutes. I thought something was wrong or there was a family emergency. Just popped in a car, drove over to his house, and it ended up being a business opportunity presentation with all of the most influential people that he knew. At that time, as I was sitting in the room and watching this DVD presentation and getting this one-page sheet of explaining the whole business plan, I looked to my left and I looked to the right, and I I was kind of giggling on the inside because I had to have been probably the only excited person in the room. I don't know if you've ever experienced that before, where you've kind of sat in a business presentation and you're like the only excited person in the room, because something just clicks and something just makes sense when it comes to like maybe concepts of like multiple streams of income or residual income, or maybe time leveraging, where you can create more hours in the day. Like if you only have 24 hours in the day, you're a human being, you only have 24 hours in a day, where you can actually collapse time frames and begin to get 48, 72, over 100, maybe even 200 plus hours in a single day, from maybe leveraging other people's efforts, so people's efforts, or leveraging maybe business systems to get more done in less time. So that's kind of what I saw. From that point, I spent the next year wandering around in Walmarts in suit and tie, just hitting up strangers, because I was so ignorance on fire. I was willing to do whatever it took. And so I saw all these people in suit and tie, so I figured, hey, why not go over to Goodwill and get the first suit and tie, or then go to the tuck store and get a better suit and tie. And then where am I going to find people? Well, there's people that are walking around in shopping malls. There's people that are walking around in Walmart. And so that was kind of the first place that I started. And I knew that getting into a business and being an entrepreneur for maybe the first time and kind of learning the ropes, that would take getting out of your comfort zone. And so for me, being an introvert, being someone who kept to myself for the most part, maybe had a very small circle of friends, I knew I had to get out there and talk to people. And so I went, started like tapping people on their shoulders and saying, hey, you look like a sharp person. Are you open to a business opportunity? And so it was funny because I would get their name, their email address and phone number and try to call them back later, get them to the hotel meeting. And if they showed up, introduce them to other influential people and see if we could potentially sign them up. And that was the business opportunity at the time. And so that went on for about a year. Really struggled. It was a big learning experience for me. I learned a lot of wealth building concepts at that time. I was 18 years old, so I was kind of just learning everything, and it was all new to me, but it was all good information. That led me to the internet in 2011. 2011, I got onto the internet for the first time, and something kind of clicked for me. It clicked for me that I could make a video and post it on the internet. And when someone watched this video, then when I ended up maybe collecting name, email, phone number at that time, then when I gave them a call, I noticed something drastically different. The drastically different conversation was that because they watched my video and they knew who I was at that time, and when I gave them a call, they were very receptive, and it felt like business conversations started becoming easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. And like, for instance, like if you're a part of like our organization, or maybe you've heard Shannon on calls and the way that he builds lists, or even in 2019, like the strategies always change, like the mechanics and the dynamics. The mechanics are kind of like the technical things that we do, or maybe some of the tactics that we use. Those change sometimes on a yearly basis, a monthly basis, a weekly basis. Sometimes they even change on a daily basis. And it's when you learn to tap into your dynamics, what's in your heart, like when you go from your head to your heart, and kind of like the energy that you surround yourself with. Is it positive energy? Is it not so positive energy? Like when you get in the right environments, that's when everything starts to click and change. And so one of the cool things that I saw Shannon teaching in 2019 and kind of more recently is that his list building strategy, one of the easiest ways to find new prospects to talk to in whatever business you're doing right now is through stories. And so I had to think about that for a second. Like, why do stories work so well? And what it is, let's say you make a social media post, whether it's like on Facebook or Instagram or like one of those mediums and one of those platforms. Someone watches the content that you put out, which is typically maybe an image, it might be a video, or something that you personally poured your heart into posting. Someone watches that, you get to see who they are. And when you talk to these group of people, when you prospect these group of people, when you share, if you're doing like a business opportunity, or maybe you've got like a product or service that you're selling and you talk to these group of people, it's going to be a way different conversation. It's going to be a way different conversation. Social media has absolutely changed the game in 2019. And so why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing this up? Because what I've noticed in kind of like over the years, I've been in network marketing since 2010 and had a chance to have some success And I've also had a chance to go through lots of failures. But along with that, I've had a chance to see a lot of people go through that journey as well. I've seen people come and go. I've seen people like get started, get fired up. It's like one day they show up. It's like, man, like let's use network marketing for example. It's like, man, like God, thank you for introducing me to network marketing. I really appreciate you, God. Like I really needed this opportunity. And not even 24 hours later, in some cases, it's like God told me to get out, as if God changes his mind all the time. But it's always hilarious because you kind of get to see some of the things that people go through. And one of the things it's like, if you're to map out what's been missing, what's the thing that really connects someone who is maybe just getting started to someone who is maybe becoming more influential in the marketplace, and they're becoming a leader maybe worth listening to, or maybe they are someone that's really going out there and talking to the right people and producing the right results. And so I believe that stems with finding and identifying your target market, identifying who's that perfect person that if you had a conversation with them, if they knew that you existed, if you knew exactly what their problems were and what they were going through, and you had a solution for that specific problem, that they would pull out a credit card that moment and do business with you, essentially creating financial transactions. And so before we actually get into, where you probably need to take out like a pen and piece of paper and take some notes, there are some ideas that I'm going to throw out on that topic before we kind of give you the format and give you the game plan of exactly what to do. But when it comes to like building a business, when it comes to getting the results that you want and going for things that might have been on your vision board or your dream board, or maybe even just starting and kind of getting traction for the first time, I want you to think about something. So let's say you've been in like a network marketing business, you've been in for a few months, but maybe you've been struggling the whole time. Maybe you haven't even produced a single sale, or maybe you've only brought in a few people, and so you're just looking for that next step. Here's what I'm going to encourage you to find and believe. If you were treating this like a job and you made no sales for months and months and months and months and months, what would happen at your job? You'd probably get fired. But why is it that when it comes to like the business world and maybe becoming self-employed or becoming an entrepreneur, that we're less willing to do things for ourselves and more willing to do things for other people and maybe build other people's dreams, or even if it's like a salary pay where you could do this darn thing for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And it's like you're collecting what you think might be a consistent check until maybe something comes up one day, you're being paid too much, they want to pay someone $1 less, and coincidentally, for some reason, they find a good reason to let you go without giving you any of the like the separation checks or any of the continuities that come along with it. And then you realize that even if you do make it that 40 years, that once you get to that point, you'd probably be even lucky making 50 to 60% of what you couldn't even live on in the first place. What you couldn't even live on in the first place. But you show up with so much energy and enthusiasm before you even get the job. You might put together this awesome resume, and you're like, man, I want to go out there and find a place that pays me well. So what do? You get like hundreds of applications or resumes, and you send them all out, see who responds, and then you show up for interviews, which you have to pay and drive to, and maybe you have to go and get an expensive suit so that way you kind of stand out from the rest to make yourself look good. And it's like you're investing, or maybe when you do get the job, you're investing in fighting hours of traffic every single day, maybe going from work and back, and then you got to pay for lunch, and maybe like there's certain things you have to get for the job. It's like you're investing. There's so much money that you're spending. And then on top of that, when you get to work, you're probably not even appreciated, but then you're going above and beyond because something deep down inside of you, when you're being held responsible and accountable for your actions, that there's some part of you deep down inside where there's maybe an ego that says, I don't want to look bad. I want to show up. And so you're more willing to do something for someone else and build someone else's dreams. But when you get into an environment of being self-employed and being in business for yourself, why is it so different? Why is it so different? How can you let months and months and months and months and months and months and months go by and then maybe only have 0 sales or maybe 1 or 2 sales? You would get fired. You would get fired. And so with kind of that framing, I want you to take the rest of this call a little bit more seriously. So if you do have a pen and piece of paper, I'll have you pull it out in just a moment, but I want you to really pay attention to what you might be experiencing right now, because when you become aware, like the first step in really changing anything is just the awareness. Once you become aware, you have an ability to now make a decision. Kind of like how you have like an incision, like where you cut into something. Well, a decision is to what? It's to cut off. An incision, cut into something. A decision is to cut off. If you are aware of a pattern or a behavior that is not producing any results for you, and you've been spinning the wheels and spinning the wheels and spinning the wheels and spinning the wheels, and it's not working for you, and spinning the wheels and it's not working for you, and maybe you've spent the last 20 or 30 years on planet Earth, and you look at your bank account and you're like, man, I've spent 20 or 30 years and all my accomplishments, everything I've ever done is that number in my bank account, and something ain't working. Something needs to get cut off. Something needs to change. And it's probably different for everyone. It might be different for you versus like some of the things that I might be going through might be different for you. Some of the things that Shannon might be going through might be different for you. Some of the things that James might be going through, it might be different for you. Some of the things that Daryl might be going through, it might be different for you. Some of the things that Marie Gregory's going through, it might be different for you. But what is the decision that you have to make? The fastest way to go from maybe struggling or not having any results to turning it on almost instantly overnight is you got to figure out what is it that you need to do to start creating more financial transactions into your business, because that's what it is. It's a business. Now, fortunately, like when we get into a space like, let's say like network marketing is so awesome. Like my personal opinion, kind of like if you read like the Robert Kiyosaki books or some of the other influential people out there, why is it that they believe network marketing is one of the best industries in the world, where you have a large majority of people that they may dislike it. They may dislike network marketing. Why is that? But it's the best industry in the world. Because when you grow and you develop and you're consistent and you're persistent and you get skill sets and you actually read and go through what it takes to transform, kind of like a caterpillar into a butterfly. Well, that transformation process of you becoming a caterpillar into a butterfly is kind of the same thing in entrepreneurship. If you try to help and support someone who is not ready yet, when you break that cocoon open for someone else, what happens? What happens to the butterfly when the cocoon gets broken for them? They never fly. It just kind of sits there and it dies. It's through the struggle and the pushing and trying to break out and get out of the cocoon is where the soon-to-be butterfly builds up the strength. You need the struggle, because the struggle is your story. So if you're experiencing something right now where maybe you're at the lowest point of your life, maybe you're at rock bottom, maybe you're at a place where you don't want to be, do you want to know how to instantly go from a state of emotion where it might be like depression or not feeling good, or maybe there's anxiety, or maybe there's just a not good feeling attached to where you are right now? Do you want to know the fastest way to flip it and turn it into a place of power? You step in, or you step out of where you are right now, just like if you're kind of like be a physical human being and almost project yourself out of your body, kind of like a ghost almost, and then you look back at your body. But instead, what we're doing is we're actually projecting ourselves into the future. Where is it that we see ourselves in the next in the next 12 months, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Where is it that you want to be? And for most people on the line, especially if you're here on the Midday Motivational Call, whether you're on the line live right now or whether you're listening to the replay, you're still probably in the same spot because something attracted you to this call, something in your mindset is already subconsciously there. And so if you see like 10 years out, 5 years out, like 12 months from now, depending on how fast it clicks for you and you're ready to go and how fast you're willing to put in the work, there's something out there on that other side in the future, in that vision, where you're the person who's the leader. You're the person who's successful. You're the person who's overcome all obstacles. And if you know that, it's almost kind of like I was just talking to Shannon the other day, kind of like about football. I don't really watch too much football, but just sports in general. I'm kind of a soccer fan. I don't really watch, but I love to play. But if there's like a big game on, or there's like a UFC fight, or there's like a big event going on, doesn't it just like, oh, I missed the fight, but then you're like ready to watch the replay, and then just before you get to the end, someone tells you what happened? Have you ever had one of those before? Like where you saw the end of the movie first, you're like, oh man, I saw the end of the movie, but you didn't watch like the middle or really the beginning parts. You just know what happens at the end. That's kind of how we need to treat our vision. We know what happens at the end, but through the story and kind of like the ups, the downs, the peaks and valleys of the story, kind of like a roller coaster. If we know that there's all of the up and down emotional levels of the activity, but we know that at the end of the movie, everything works out and everything is awesome and everything is just as you had ever imagined it, then that means the struggle that you're going through right now is the story that you need. It's the story that if someone approaches you with excuses, you can no longer accept their excuses because you said, here's what I went through. Does that make sense? And if you look at your struggle right now, instantly it clicks that you need that. So you go from a state of depression, anxiety, you go from a state of not feeling well to feeling empowered. Because you say, like, man, shoot, if I beat this, if I get over this hump, man, no one's got nothing on me. I got a story, you know? It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. And it's that state of feeling good that now you become attracted. You can go out there in public, wherever you go, whether it's the gym, whether it's the mall, if you go to the mall, whether it's at the gas station. I know even Brian had picked up one of his customers, like Brian D. Sellers, he had picked up one of his customers in a state of, I don't know at the time, like if you like take the state of the time, like his dad was actually in the process of a 50-50 chance whether he would be here or not. He was in the hospital. But at that time, at the gas station, somehow Brian knew what the end of the movie would look like and what he needed for his family and what he was going to do. And so with a product in his hand at a gas station, had piqued a prospect. Her name was Tammy Bird. And then she joined as an executive in his business while Brian was going through some of the worst times of his life. In a moment, anything can change. In a moment, everything can change for you. And what I've discovered is most people have such a fear about taking action because of that rejection, because of the situation that they're in. It's tough to see the future. It's tough to see what's at the end of the tunnel when you're in a state of struggle. But if you know the struggle at the end of the movie is something that you need, you can turn it into power. And it's through that power that now we can actually take a look and start taking some notes for what you need for your target market. So what is the first thing? What is the first thing to know about a target market? If you are marketing to everyone, you could probably finish that. If you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to who? You're marketing to nobody. You're marketing to no one. If you're marketing to everyone, you are marketing to no one. One of the reasons why I love Shannon's training so much is because he kind of found a little hack for, at least for like network marketing prospects or people that would be in your warm market, people that would be more likely to know, like, and trust you, people that have seen who you are before you've even had a chance to talk to them. Those stories are so freaking awesome. It's to me, that's like the most genius way to build a list ever. Don't you agree? If you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one. So that's step one, is you want to identify who is your target market. So for instance, like if you have a product and the product is trying, like its sole purpose is to solve the problem of arthritis, then I'm not going to be your customer because I don't have arthritis, right? I don't care how much it costs. It could be free. I'm not taking an arthritis product because I don't have arthritis. It could be free. And a lot of people, when they get into a business that they're passionate about, because that they're excited about a product, they automatically assume and believe and take the responsibility that everyone else should be excited around them. And that's not how business works. It starts with identifying who is your perfect target market. Who is that perfect customer that would pull out the credit card and has the need for what you have to offer? A lot of times, what I found out is that a lot of people, they think like when they market to everyone, like, oh man, well, everyone's got problems. Everyone's got problems. This will solve one of them. You have to become specific. You have to become specific because you have no clue. You have no clue. A random person walking down the street, or maybe even your best friend, you have no clue what they're experiencing on the inside or what's going on in their personal life or what problems they're actually experiencing. You have no clue. So how is it that you can market to them? You have to identify your target market first. So like, what does that include? That might include like, for instance, like if you own a restaurant, let's say I own a restaurant in Sacramento. Am I going to be marketing to people, or let's say I have a vegan restaurant in Sacramento. Am I going to market to people who love meat in Chicago? That doesn't make any sense. No, I probably want to market to someone who's maybe into plant-based foods who lives in the local area, as an example. So what is it for you and your product? Where does your perfect customer live? What is it that they actually want? How much does this person possibly even make per year? What is their age? What type of career do they have? Do they have a family? Do they not have a family? Do they have pets? Who is this person? Because when you can identify what's called an archetype that you are marketing to, that you can get kind of specific on maybe what their story is. Now, it doesn't have to be so specific that, man, I'm only signing up people that are nutritionists, or I'm only signing up people that are pharmacists, or I'm only signing up people that are doctors. That might be a good start of maybe where you could start. I'm only signing up people that are bodybuilders. If you're in like maybe fitness or something. That might be a good start. But what is the archetype? What type of person are they? What did they experience? What are their specific problems? Why do they need your product? What are you trying to solve? You have to become clear on this stuff. You have to become clear. If once you kind of have the person in mind and you've kind of gotten specific with who you're marketing to, then what is the next step? What's step number two? Step number two is you need to create a message to that market. If you don't know who your target market is, then how are you going to create a message to them? You have to create a message to that market. For instance, again, like if you're trying to sell me arthritis, like some arthritis pill, like there's no message in the world that's going to work on me because I'm not in that market. For you, once you know your target market, you need to create a message to that market. Does your product maybe, if it's like in the nutritional kind of space, does it take away pain? Does it help someone move into a healthy lifestyle and live longer? Does it maybe reduce some type of symptoms? Maybe it doesn't cure something, but maybe does it reduce some type of symptoms? Does it maybe supplement a way of just like living a more organic and healthier life? What does your product do? The next step, once you create your message, is you have to have a medium. What is the platform that you are going to use? It might not be your favorite platform. Like for instance, like let's say your target market is hanging out on LinkedIn. Like let's say you have a product that you're targeting business professionals. Are you going to find more business professionals on Facebook, or are you going to find more business professionals on LinkedIn, as an example? And let's say you hate LinkedIn. Well, guess what? If all your business professional, like potential clients in your target market are on LinkedIn, because maybe you're dealing with top level CEOs of organizations, and maybe you're just doing like from business to business type of marketing, then guess who needs to get good at LinkedIn? If your target market hangs out on Facebook, then guess who needs to get good at Facebook? If your target market hangs out on Instagram, then guess who needs to get good at Instagram? What is the medium where your perfect customers are hanging out at? Do they hang out on the corner, like at the Starbucks and in a long line, and that's where they hang out? Do they hang out at a dog park? Do they hang out, like, where is your target market hanging out? So step one is you have to identify your target market. Step number two is you have to create a message to that market. Step number three is you have to know the medium. What is the way of communicating that your target market is already hanging out at? It's one of the fundamentals to marketing anything. It's the difference between going from amateur to professional. And get this. So amateurs, they get amateur results. Do you want to continue getting amateur results? Do you want to continue, if you're in network marketing, struggling in your network marketing business because, oh, I'm an amateur, I only get like one sale every 3 months, and this thing's not working for me. I don't know who my target market is. I need more training on top of training on top of training. I just attended a training, and now I need a training after the training to get more training. And then once that training's done, then I need more training to get more clear on the training that I just trained on. Are you an amateur or are you a professional? Because let's take a look at maybe like the like sports. So let's take football, for instance. So let's say I am a football player. Am I going to make money as an amateur football player? Most amateurs, they make almost no money at all, if anything. Like, you're lucky if you make any money as amateur. Where's the money at? The money is at the professional level. So if you're an amateur, you're going to get amateur results, and amateur results typically do what? They probably get nothing. Or very minimal, very minimal. It might be considered almost hobby money. Professionals that play at the professional level, that continue to grow, that continue to maybe listen to inspirational audios or motivational audios, or maybe hop on midday motivational calls like this, or maybe attend presentations, but not alone. They bring prospects with them to the presentation. Now we're starting to move into the professional level. Now we're starting to move into a professional invite. What is a professional invite? And again, this is kind of like a network marketing call. I feel like it's turned into it. Didn't mean to. So if you're a small business owner, you're not in network marketing, I apologize. Just hang with me. Still good info. So what is a professional invite in network marketing? Really any business. Is it posting a message on Facebook and hoping and praying and crossing your fingers and just, man, checking the phone every 2 minutes to see if you got that extra like, and maybe someone commented, or man, I got to share. Wow, that's cool. Is that a good way to track the business? Probably not. Probably not. Likes, comments, and shares are probably not a great way to track the business. You know what's better? traffic, leads, and sales. So instead of likes, comments, shares, you focus on traffic, leads, sales. And what's that have to do with a professional invite? So if you just post something on, let's say like Facebook or Instagram, and you're hoping and praying that someone responds, chances are, who's going to respond to that? Who's going to respond to your post? And if you don't even know, then guess what? You don't have a target market. Now, you might be able to get away with saying like, hey, I've been developing certain relationships, and maybe I'm indirectly speaking to a certain type of person. And so this certain type of person I'm speaking to, I'm not getting them to respond, but I'm going to go hit them up later because they probably saw my post. That might be an example if you know your target market, but that's not the case for most people. A professional invite is maybe direct messaging someone, being able to get out of your comfort zone, and so much that you get out of your fear and give someone the honor. How do you give someone the honor? You give someone a professional invite by maybe suggesting or maybe even directly telling someone how awesome they are, how talented they are, how much skill sets they probably have, and that you're actually expanding and growing an organization, and that you would love to have someone like them because you can actually see a value exchange in both directions. Does that make sense? Because now that person that receives an invite like that, that's more direct, and now they feel honored, guess who's going to show up to the call? How many people does it take like that to show up to the call for you to have more financial transactions in the business? We're telling you 10. If I said bring 10 people to the call, we're telling you 10. But guess what? What does a professional do? A professional reads books like Money and the Law of Attraction. They read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They read books like The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And what does the message you get out of the 10X Rule say if we tell you to bring 10 prospects to the call? You need to make a list of 100. Because if you make a list of 10 and you talk to those 10, guess how many people are going to show up? Maybe 1, maybe 2. Guess who's going to create a financial transaction with you? Maybe that one person in 4 months. Not that day. So what's the way around it? You do 10 times more than what you're being told in a training. Get 100 people on your list. Talk to the 100 people. Get 10 people on the call. Get one person to sign up. You create a financial transaction for the day. If you get one financial transaction a day, guess what you can do? You can get a financial transaction the next day. If you can get 1 a day, you could probably get 2 a day. It's consistency. It's getting better. It's being able to grow your skill sets. Like for instance, I keep mentioning Shannon on the call, just probably because like the training's so good and shoot, I mean, this call's on target market, and he found a fast way for you to identify a good target market without really understanding everything. That to me is cool, that you could actually just take action, maybe just follow some steps and get results before you even know what you're doing, before you make that transition into professional and really start to develop your business the way that you would, like a baby would develop themselves in a womb. You have to nurture and take care of the baby. And your business is kind of like a baby. You want to develop your business and kind of nurture and see what you can do to grow the business, see what you can do to grow the skill set, see what you can do to keep expanding. Because if you don't, then what happens? The baby is probably going to end up in what? ICU. And not to call some people out on the line, whether it's on the Midday Motivational Call or maybe someone listening to the recording, or maybe just someone that saw the post on Facebook to get on the call or whatnot, or wherever medium they saw it, and they're like, you know what, that sounds like it would be cool, but you know, I think I'm gonna go watch some TV today. And next, you know, they got a business, but the business is in what? It's in ICU. It's needing to be nurtured. It's needing to be supported. It needs to be like, you need to fill it with nutrition. Like, you have to keep plugging in. And because like motivation, like the whole personal development thing, there's cool things. Like there's some people that say like, once your mind is expanded like a rubber band, it doesn't ever go back to the traditional way of thinking. To me, I believe that's not true. I believe you're either growing or you're dying. You're either getting better or you're falling way back in life. I've seen it time and time again. I've seen people that have built multiple 9-figure companies, and they go backwards, but then they might start growing again. I've seen people where they've never had success before. They've never broken through, kind of like the butterfly, like they never really had a chance to break out of their cocoon. And then what happens? Something flips and transitions in their mind, and then they try and try and try. They fail and fail and fail. They've been in network marketing for 10 years, failing and failing and failing, and then something clicks for them. Maybe one thing was said, or maybe it was just a combination of everything all coming together at once. Maybe it's just a combination of all the relationships that they've built up over the years. Maybe it's just a combination of all the good value that they have put out in the marketplace. Maybe it's just a combination of just all the right places at the right time. And it was through gathering the strength over time that you bust through the cocoon, and you become the butterfly that you always knew that you could be, and that you deserve to fly, and you deserve to be the person. You deserve to be the person who can now lead others and show other people the way out. And that's, I believe, who you are. You just see yourself. You cast yourself into the vision. And sometimes it's hard to do that. It's sometimes hard to cast like that. It was just like, man, if you saw what I was going through, man, like it's hard for me to see this vision. Have you ever felt like that? But then what's another thing you could do if you can't go forward? Then what you do is you make the past the future. What is something you've done in the past where if you were just to close your eyes and just maybe sit back and with nothing on your mind, but maybe peace, clarity, maybe your financial future, but you go into a past reference experience about a time where maybe you've had the most power, you've had the most the best experience, and you've taken that point, all the feelings, the emotions, what you've experienced, the way that your maybe chest was going up and down, the way your feet were maybe tingling, maybe that boost of confidence that you've had on the inside, and you bring that to the present. Step into the most powerful version of yourself. Step into identifying your target market, creating a message, and then finding the medium for that. And there's going to be a presentation tonight if you're working in our organization. If you have like your own network marketing company, I definitely encourage you to plug into yours. But if there's going to be an event tonight, learn the law of promotion. That's a great place to start. Do whatever you can to get 10 prospects onto your next meeting. For us, it's tonight. This is the Midday Motivational Call, and I'll see you on the next call. Take care.